Well, ladies and gentlemen, these wonderful United States Coast Guard helicopters are used for search and rescue, medical evacuation, and support law enforcement operations. The folks in St. Pete, Clearwater cover from the Caribbean, the Gulf of America, and the Bahamas. The folks in the National Capital Region cover the entire National Capital area, as well as the M65E Dolphin you saw from Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City, North Carolina. They cover everything from Greenland to the Azores and the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, our warfighters and our coasties defending our freedoms every day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Salute to America 250. We're excited to have you with us here this afternoon. Making their way in next is the United States Coast Guard Fixed Wing Review. In this flight of three, you will see an HC-144B Ocean Sentry. This aircraft comes from the Aviation Training Center in Mobile, Alabama. Also in the flight is a C-130, the HC-130, Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and the CJ-27J Spartan from Coast Guard Air Station, St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida. As they pass directly overhead, ladies and gentlemen, notice the amazing formation flight here of these three beautiful aircraft that support search and rescue, homeland security, and environmental protection for all of us here in the United States. What a beautiful sight here over our nation's capital today, the United States Coast Guard Fixed Wing Review. To Salute to America, the greatest air show in the history of our country. Up next is the United States Army parachute team we all affectionately love and know as the Golden Knights. Joining me on stage is Private First Class Nate Helsendegger. Welcome, sir. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Rob. We are honored to be here. How you doing, brother?
We're doing good. So we're going to see it's three different passes here from a joint jump between the United States Navy Leapfrogs and your wonderful team, the Golden Knights. First jumper is a solo. Tell us a little bit about what we'll see.
Yeah, sure. So the first jumper of the day is what we call a wind dummy. So riding up to altitude, at 2,000 feet, we throw parchment paper right over the target where we want to land. And we circle that paper the entire way until it lands and hits the ground. Then we take that distance, whatever it flew past the target, and we are going to get out that same distance upwind of the target so we can land on target for the American public.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to see that, and thank you for giving us that behind-the-scenes look at what we do at air shows. Now, we are just about 10 seconds, 15 seconds away from that first step off the back of the aircraft. Tell us a little bit about, as we look for that with the cameras, what are we seeing in terms of the aircraft they're coming out of? I know you'll talk a little bit about that later.
Sure, yes. So
the
aircraft is going to be flying a 320-degree heading. And right now, you should be able to look up and see smoke in the air as we have a Golden Knight in free fall, rapidly approaching speeds of 120 miles per hour.
Now, Nate, as he does that, as he's free falling, he can navigate with his arms and legs and stay in position for what you described as the target, correct?
Yes, sir, exactly. So what we do, Rob, is we use the relative wind and we use our body as flight controls. We can move left, right, forward, backwards. Any orientation you can picture, that's how we can fly.
Awesome. And then as he gets closer down to the ground, about what altitude will he deploy his parachute as he makes his way in?
Yeah, so Sergeant Eric Garcia was the wind dummy today, and he just deployed his parachute at approximately 3,000 feet.
Wow, what a beautiful sight here over the skies of our nation's capital, ladies and gentlemen. The United States Army Golden Knights with Old Glory flying on the canopy rigging of the parachute there. Nate, what a beautiful sight we've got there.
Yes, sir, Rob, it is actually. So when he deploys the parachute, the flag doesn't come down right away. On the parachute itself, we have what's called a flag bag and a flag line. After we're under canopy, Rob, we can then deploy the 200 square foot American flag, making for a wonderful visual.
Wow, that is absolutely spectacular. So how much time do you think, Nate, until we see the next pass where we'll see some more jumpers and these from the Navy?
Sure, so on the next pass, you're gonna see the Navy leapfrogs. And then on the third pass will be our full demonstration from the Golden Knights Gold Demonstration Team.
Perfect. So about how far out do we think the second pass is?
I would say approximately 30 seconds, Rob.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit about the United States Navy leapfrogs. As you look skyward, you will see jumpers exiting the aircraft shortly, thousands of feet in the air. In free fall, they will reach speeds of up to 120 miles per hour before deploying their canopies. You know, in just 2.5 months of winter training, the jumpers on the leapfrogs accumulate over 300 jumps, each practicing the canopy formations and maneuvers you see above. If you look closely, you can see the jumpers piloting towards each other, docking and maneuvering their canopies together. This is called two-stack and serves as the building block for all of their larger formations. Now, the jumpers in the leapfrog come to the team after years of real-world operational experience. Their mission here at Navy Parachute Team is to temporarily exit the shadows in order to showcase the teamwork, precision, and excellence of naval special warfare community. To inspire the next generation of American warfighters, following their 3-year commitment here, they return to their operational units. Now, while parachute demonstrations like these are inherently dangerous, the team mitigates the risk through meticulous planning, rigorous training and rehearsals, teamwork, and a relentless dedication to mastery in naval special warfare. Their lives and the lives of their teammates depend on this. Ready? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that the Golden Knights have completed their jump, we're going to hand it back to Private First Class Nate Hilsendigger for more about your United States Army Golden Knights.
The American paratrooper, born of fire in the skies of World War II, more than 80 years ago, has since struck fear and terror in the hearts of those foolish enough to oppose them. Relentless in their skill and courage, not only in the air, but also on the ground, these brave soldiers have forged for themselves a place of honor in America's heart. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Private First Class Nathan Hilsendigger, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is my absolute honor to narrate this once-in-a-lifetime event, America's 250th birthday. I will describe for you today a demonstration of precision freefall as performed by members of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. At this time, members of the Gold Demonstration Team are circling high overhead at an altitude of 10,000 feet. The jump master is actually looking out the left door of the aircraft. His head is outside in the wind and the cold. Through a series of hand and arm signals, the jump master is relaying heading corrections to the pilot, maneuvering the aircraft to a precise exit point for the jumpers. Watch closely as you may see the nose of the aircraft move slightly left or right. The jumpers are out and the smoke is on. We now have members of the Golden Knights rapidly approaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. The initial part of the formation is called the base, and it forms quickly as the initial jumpers fly their bodies together while interlocking their arms and legs to form the nucleus of the formation. The formation continues to fly at 120 miles per hour as the freefall photographer circles the formation, then glide apart prior to their opening at 3,000 feet. This is our salute to all of you attending today's show. There you have the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. Now, as you may have guessed, these jumpers are faced with a unique situation, a traffic jam in the sky. They must gain vertical separation to allow for individual approaches into the target area. This is accomplished by pulling on the front part of the parachute and spiraling down at speeds in excess of 60 miles per hour. This allows them to set up a traffic pattern just like you might see aircraft at a busy airport. The smoke trails each jumper leaves in the sky are created by two M18 red smoke grenades, which emit a continuous stream of smoke for up to 90 seconds. The jumper attaches these to one foot with a specially designed bracket and then ties the activation pins to a lanyard. By pulling on this lanyard, they can ignite the smoke immediately upon exiting the aircraft or while in free fall. The parachutes used by the Golden Knights are flexible wing gliders. Constructed of lightweight ripstop nylon, these parachutes have an inherent forward airspeed of 22 miles per hour. To turn left, the jumper pulls down on the left steering line. To turn right, the jumper simply pulls down on the right steering line. As the jumper's near the ground, they'll pull down on both steering lines simultaneously for the safest and softest possible landing. Looking high overhead, you may notice what seems like parachutes tangled together, but this is actually an exciting discipline in skydiving known as canopy relative work. Thanks in part to the advanced aerodynamic design of these ram air parachutes, one jumper can fly right up to the hands of another jumper without affecting its flight characteristics. At just the right moment, the jumpers pull opposite steering lines, maneuvering their parachutes into a downplane and diving straight toward the ground at over 80 miles per hour. As they approach the ground, you may hear the command, "Ready, brake," and the jumpers will separate for 2 soft stand-up landings in the target area. With a quick pull of a handle, Staff Sergeant Jonathan Pemberton will release the massive 5,000 square foot American flag. To keep the flag properly oriented, a 35-pound weight is attached to the bottom, adding a total of 150 extra pounds to the jumper. The flag is securely fastened to the front of the jumper's harness by 4 attachment points, requiring exceptional skill to pilot both the parachute and the massive flag. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our performance for the day. And on behalf of the entire team, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being such a warm and receptive airborne audience. In closing, I leave you with this final thought. In the future, may all of your days be prosperous and your nights golden.
Well, welcome, America. Welcome back to Salute to America 250. Our next flyover is the United States Army helicopter review. In this flyover, you'll see 2 AH-64E model Apache helicopters, 4 UH-60M Blackhawks, and 2 CH-47F Chinook helicopters. Now, the Apache helicopter, I want you to look close and see. There are 2 crew in there. They sit in a tandem cockpit. This is the backbone of the Army's attack helo fleet. They are known for maneuverability and advanced technologies. This aircraft are based from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The 4 Blackhawks you see is the Army's Advanced Multi-Mission Utility Helicopter. This accommodates a crew of 4 and 11 combat troops in the back. You'll see 4 of these Blackhawks in our formation here today. And in the middle of our formation, you see the wonderful tandem rotor Chinook. This is the Army's primary heavy lift tandem rotor helicopter designed to transport troops, artillery, and supplies. They do have a ramp in the back to load and unload and even deliver troops while hovering above a hilltop. Ladies and gentlemen, they are approaching the National Mall now from the west. Above the Lincoln Memorial, you see them on screen. We're so honored to have them here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States Army Helicopter Review. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you watch this beautiful flyover of our United States Army helicopters in review, you see the Chinook, the twin rotor helicopters we talked about, out front leading, and then back in the second wave. The 4 Blackhawk helicopter on the corners of this beautiful formation, and our Apache helicopters, the AH-64 Apaches. You see them right in the middle and also at the back. Two beautiful diamonds, ladies and gentlemen, right here over our nation's capital as we celebrate 250 years of freedom. Wow, well, how about that, America? As we celebrate 250 years of freedom, it doesn't get much better than that. Well, you know what? We're going to equal that the rest of the day. We are just getting started. We have upwards of 100 aircraft involved in this wonderful aerial salute today as part of our nation's celebration of 250 years. That was your United States Army helicopter review, and we will be back with you in just a little bit with another segment here as we salute to America 250. Well, welcome back, America, to Salute to America 250. Our next flyover is absolutely spectacular. This is the United States Air Force Fleet Review, the Heavy Jets. Leading the formation today, the C-17 Globemaster III, a 4-engine strategic and tactical airlifter. They specialize in carrying troops, medical evacuation, and large cargo to include heavy mechanized vehicles directly to austere forward deployed airfields anywhere in the world. This aircraft and crew are based at Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina. The aircraft is a reliable airlifter. It combines intercontinental cargo carrying capability of large aircraft such as the C-5 Galaxy with the short field landing potential of the much smaller C-130 Hercules. Next in line is a KC-135 Stratotanker. They provide the core air refueling capability for the United States Air Force for more than 60 years. This aircraft is based at MacDill Air Force Base, Florida. Behind it, with the refueling boom also extended, is the KC-46. That aircraft is the Pegasus. It's a multi-mission aerial refueler strategic transport aircraft designed to refuel all U.S., Allied, and coalition aircraft. And bringing up the rear is the C-5, designed for heavy airlift to carry more cargo farther than any other aircraft. The Super Galaxy, 247 feet long, a wingspan of 222 feet, measures 65 feet tall at the top of the tail, with a flight crew sitting a whopping 30 feet in the air. Capable of carrying almost anything in the U.S. arsenal, including other aircraft and satellites. This crew and aircraft from Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as our salute continues, that is your United States Air Force Heavy Jet in review. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're all set for our next flyover here at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom. Coming up is the United States Air Force Fleet Review for Special Operations Command, or we call it AFSOC. These aircraft are all from Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico. You'll see 2 AC-130J Ghost Riders, 2 CV-22 Ospreys, and 2 of the brand new OA-1K Sky Raider 2s. Now, the AC-130 Ghost Rider is AFSOC's premier heavy gunship, highly modified variant of the Lockheed C-130. It's a close air support, air interdiction, and armed reconnaissance aircraft. The Ospreys are medium-lift capable tilt rotors, short takeoff and landing aircraft. They have the speed and range of a turboprop aircraft, the maneuverability of a helicopter, and the ability to carry 24 combat troops twice as fast and 5 times farther than previous helicopters. We also have the OA-1K Sky Raider 2s, the historic name back to the A-1D Sky Raider of Korea and Vietnam era. The Sky Raider 2 represents a new era of cost-effective aircraft, adaptable across a wide spectrum of mission needs. The missions it supports include close air support, precision strike, and armed reconnaissance. They present a smaller maintenance package, and they operate with lower cost per flying hour than conventional aircraft or other special ops platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States Air Force AFSOC Special Operations Fleet that supports our warfighters downrange each and every day. 2 beautiful AC-130J Ghost Riders. On the formation's left, 2 of the CV-22 Ospreys, and on the formation's right, 2 of the OA-1K Sky Raider 2s. Ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful sight here over the reflecting pool and now the Washington Monument. Flyover here is the United States Navy fighter fleet in review. You'll see 2 FA-18 Rhino aircraft and 2 F-35 C model Lightning IIs. The 4-ship formation consists of the 2 F-18 Rhinos from Naval Air Station Oceana, Virginia, the most lethal carrier-based strike fighter aircraft in the world, the FA-18 Super Hornet, nicknamed the Rhino. Also in the formation, 2 F-35C Lightning IIs from Naval Air Station Lemoore, California. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Navy fixed wing flight in review. You'll hear more information momentarily on both of these type aircraft.
Call sign Sword on behalf of the United States Navy. Flying the F-18 to the edge of his operating envelope. Now Debbie and Scooter are setting up for the flat pirouette where they will demonstrate the Super Hornet's unique ability to operate at slow speeds and high angles of attack. Watch as they execute a maximum performance loop away from the crowd and command a nose-high 540 degrees turn, all while remaining parallel to the ground. I'm copy, we're playing. John Cena already went.
Yes, he is. Well, he's not.
Debbie and Scooter are now setting up for their minimum radius turn to tail stand with max AB selected. Air crew will set a 90-degree angle bank and hold 7.5 Gs for 30 seconds of turn. At the end of the minimum radius turn, air crew will max reform to the vertical, followed by negative 2 G pushover to return level flight. Ladies and gentlemen, from the left, minimum radius turn.
They're giving us weather updates. They're telling us to shut our equipment down. So we're losing PA, losing everything right now. We got a lower PA, shut down. Debbie and Scooter are setting up for the high-speed pass. During this maneuver, the Rhino will be approaching SO center at 200 feet, nearing Mach 1 or 750 miles an hour and maximum afterburner. The F-18's two GE 400 engines will combine thrust over 41,000 pounds, burning 60,000 pounds of fuel per hour. As a result, you may notice white compression vapors around their aircraft, indicating they are approaching the speed of sound. In the pool, they're setting up for the vertical pirouette. Debbie and Scooter will pull the aircraft into the vertical, then roll the canopy towards the crowd, following by negative G pushover and wings level. Air crew will use the F-18's two digital flight control computers to rotate back to bullseye nose low while keeping the canopy pinned to the crowd. This ability is Now watch as the Super Hornet rapidly reorientates its nose 4 times, flying in a distinct square loop pattern throughout the skies. Ladies and gentlemen, the square loop.
Since 1946, the Blue Angels have had the unique privilege of demonstrating to the American public the precision techniques of naval aviation, inspiring a culture of excellence and service to country. The maneuvers you will see demonstrated here this afternoon are coordinated tactical techniques developed by Navy and Marine Corps pilots in both peacetime training and actual combat. These maneuvers are neither stunts nor daring feats, but are refinements of basic techniques taught to every prospective naval aviator. Here in the skies over our nation's capital, we will demonstrate these maneuvers at very low altitude in traditional Blue Angel formation, so you may see and take pride in the precise fashion in which your Navy and Marine Corps pilots are trained to fly. In front of the crowd, the Delta is making its approach to the flight line. Approaching show center, the entire formation will separate in dramatic fashion. Now, directly before you, the 2026 Blue Angels. Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels, is the oldest performing U.S. military aviation demonstration team. Since 1946, the Blue Angels have brought naval aviation to men and women of all ages across America. We were first based at Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Florida, flying F-6F Hellcats. We continued flying Grumman Corporation aircraft for 22 years, transitioning in late 1946 to the more powerful and faster F-8F Bearcat. In 1950, we transitioned to jet aircraft with the arrival of the straight-wing F-9 F-2 Panther, the predecessor of the swept-wing F-9 F-8 Cougar, which we received in 1955. In 1957, from the left, at 400 miles per hour, all 6 aircraft are approaching for the maneuvering Delta. As they pass over center point, you should get a good look at the Delta set used by the 5 wingmen. Officers and 135 enlisted personnel comprise the Blue Angels. Pilots 1 through 4 fly in the diamond formation, showcasing the precision flying required of all Navy and Marine Corps pilots.